So just a short time ago, President Donald Trump wrapped up his first wartime cabinet meeting at the White House. Top of discussion, how to get Iran to reach a deal to end the war. Here's the president's warning, though, to the Iranian regime.
Their capability is a lot less than it was 2 weeks ago. And with every week and every day, frankly, it gets less and less. All I can tell you is they're begging to make a deal. So let's see what happens.
He says, let's see what happens, so let's talk about it. While we wait, let's bring in global affairs analyst and former senior policy advisor at the U.S. mission to the United Nations, Jonathan Wachtel. Jonathan, first of all, thank you for being with us here. It's nice to have you on CBS News 24/7. President Trump's son-in-law just spoke to an audience saying that often Iran's messaging is for its population rather than to a global audience. Maybe rather than giving a Western audience sort of a picture of what's really happening. Do you think that there are some back-channel communications going on that are going to result in some maybe pullback or some peace?
Reed, it's really important that you do have back-channel conversations or at least outreach happening while even the war is going on, because ultimately you do need to begin the process of having a day after, or at least putting things in motion that can lead to a less severe situation and a ratcheting down of this conflict as soon as expedient. So yes, one would expect that there are conversations, and certainly we've seen the Pakistanis and the Egyptians and Qataris trying to have some sort of insertion into this, among others, trying to play some sort of mediating role, and, indeed trying to ensure that there's some sort of back channel to be able to have some sort of way out of this conflict.
Well, the Pentagon is really preparing to send some members of the Army's 82nd Airborne Division to the Middle East. More troops means more capability. More capability could mean expansion of that mission. As you look at what these latest deployed troops are trained for, do you see a mission or a strategy forming?
Absolutely. They would have some strategic plans on where they would be inserted and how, to what severity, where is the area that they can maximize effect without putting U.S. troops into harm's way. It's obviously a very dangerous mission, one way or another, wherever they would go in. But certainly some areas are more perilous than others, and it's a balance that would have to be worked out if there's a decision to literally pull the trigger on such operations.
You talk about pulling the trigger. Of course, we know that we're in that window of time where the president said, I'm going to set a clock whereby if Iran doesn't surrender, we'll give another look at attacking some of their energy infrastructure. As we approach the end of that deadline, do you get a sense that that is a very real possibility?
I certainly do. One thing, Reed, that I think is really important to consider here is that, of course, you want to keep the heat on your foe, and you want to try to maximize your leverage when you're potentially going to go into negotiations, or try to find some individuals with whom there can be some sort of work toward an outcome that is going to be beneficial to everybody. We need to be messaging to the Iranian people that we're actually on their side. The vast majority of the population in Iran hates the current regime. And if we begin to have a situation in which there's a resentment of the United States just trying to embarrass everybody in Iran, or make life so miserable for everybody in Iran, we do run the risk of alienating many people who we really need to rally behind our effort here, and ultimately end up with a regime, a government actually, that represents them and cares about them and is not going to oppress them. Very important to be messaging both strength, which we're certainly showing militarily and by moving troops into the area, certainly keeping the heat on, but we need to maintain this soft diplomacy, this effort to really assure the population that we're their actual friend.
Speaking to the importance of the entire matter, week 1, week 2, week 3, we covered all of the hits. We saw the bombings. We've seen the loss of American life. And a lot of people might deduce from that those were the most important phases of this war in Iran. Is there anything that you have to offer to our viewers that may punctuate that this arguably could be the most important moment where the U.S. can choose to blink or not blink?
Yeah, we get those amazing optics that we're seeing of the release of, destruction of aircraft and ships and other targets in Iran. And it's, of course, extremely visual, compelling, tells a story about defeat of the enemy. But the whole notion of changing a situation in a country that has lived and breathed the regime I'm speaking about for since the Islamic Revolution since 1979 of this policy of death to America, death to Israel, create this expansionist policy of spreading the revolution across the Middle East and other areas. It takes a lot to change that. And the optics of, exploding things is certainly compelling, but the nation building, the change, all that is very painstaking. It's a process that needs to be worked out, identify the people with whom the United States can work and our allies so that we can begin a process of trying to eliminate what has been the status quo, which is totally unacceptable for the last decades.
Jonathan, I've enjoyed the conversation. Hope to see you back here on CBS News 24/7. You have a good day.